it. Woohoo! We're on the right game screen. We're not on Wrath and Glory, are we? The DM muted. Mm. Because he says he's fucked things up again, he's sorry. While we wait.
Think that voice mod was acting fucked. So I use voice mod for one campaign, and therefore on this profile, voice mod is set as my audio device, and it did not boot up properly. So I was talking, and my microphone was working, and my microphone is set as usual on here, but it says voice mod on that, so that's why. Hello, everyone! I am here, and we are here. Thank you for being here with us here.
Here.
Thank you.
And confirm audio is there.
Yes, good. All right. So, welcome back to the Monsters of Morgram. I am Trisky, your not-so-humble GM. In fact, I am a travesty of nature. And today, we are returning to our little group here of lovely dipshits.
You got that right.
Yeah.
But they just recently, to summarize last session, the session before, they went to Stantrum, a village, a city that, well, a settlement in Morgram along the coast. That is the, at least assumed, property of the nation of Brosh, which is a foreign power that is currently colonizing Morgram. And they were trying to make positive relationships with Stantrum, but they were there for the purpose of getting some information on a strange script of runes that they discovered in a further back session when they went up into the mountains to deal with a massive screaming noise that covered over like 100-kilometer radius that they needed to deal with. And they found it on the body of a dead dwarf that had supposedly installed this mind scream color onto this stone giant that was trapped there, who is now somewhere else entirely. They parted ways, but they were looking into this rune, and as they arrived, they got involved in the mediation of the meeting between the nobility of Brosh and the Cereshaline, the fishfolk that they had previously bartered peace with, who had been prior sinking Brosh ships because apparently they thought they were litter. As they went to do this meeting, however, the noblemen turned out to be less than amicable towards treating them as anything other than monsters and beasts. And this caused some complications, which basically paused the meeting outright as the party tried to figure out what was going on. Amelia, who is the mayor of Stantrum, was very apologetic, but was also sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place because she wanted to properly do peace meeting stuff, but at the same time, she was also incapable of really immediately going against the noblemen of Brosh because she required their funding to keep her town afloat. In that, they talked to Rhoda Twintail, a rat girl rogue who they happened to meet on the way to Stantrum, and basically hired her to find some information that they might be able to use to usurp this guy's power or try and set things right. And it turns out the information she found was that there's apparently something or other going on that she overheard in how this town is actually owned in some way, shape, or form, or that the nobleman might have some issue going on that could uproot his power, and basically gave them the location of where he was staying and told them, yeah, I couldn't really get in because of guards. And so, assumedly, because of that, they went to the house, went through the building with Runt's magical power to walk through stone, and learned that this town was actually not officially a colony of Brosh, because this nobleman had done some sketchy shit, and basically this town was illegal and hadn't paid like 10 to 20 years in back taxes to Brosh. And so with that realized, Amelia was actually officially the owner of the town as she had established it, but it was also not a Brosh settlement, so they had to deal with that. And with the help of the Cerechaline, they paid off all the back taxes, and the nobleman who they had to deal with is now basically arrested and being tortured by dad jokes from the town jester. And that's basically where we left off last session, as we are sort of in a bit of a lull period where we don't really have a clear direction for the party, or at least they don't seem to have one for me. So we are a bit theater of the mind today. If you are listening audio style and you are used to listening to these more as podcasts, then you are absolutely fine. You're not really missing much of anything. We're just on the world map. But for those of you who normally watch this as a video, you may as well treat it as a podcast today. But yeah, so you guys are still in Stantrum. You did all that stuff. Runt has his new clothes and everything. Everyone's in decent condition and whatnot. Asch is a little bit indisposed because he is currently having some issues to deal with IRL. So what are you guys going to be up to at this point? Are you just going to head back to the Goblin Village, or are you going to wander around randomly? I don't really have a clear direction for you, so.
Well, I believe we were waiting for Asch to figure out more about the runes in this town. So we could ditch him and head back to Frogbelt as he inquires about this.
So I will. So Runt isn't here to say as such, but I'm going to take the executive decision to tell you what he does remember and what I will inform him about. You talked to Zerun, and he basically said, Zerun being the adventurer dwarf that the party knows by proxy from previous endeavors, that seem to be doing a lot of business here in Stantrum and with Brosh. And the dwarf said, yeah, those runes that you found, I recognize these, but they aren't normal dwarf runes from, like, Brosh dwarves and whatnot. They are the runes of this nation known as Napo. And that is not, they aren't anywhere near here right now. They may be on Morgram. We're pretty sure we've interacted with them in the past, or at least Brosh has, not necessarily the adventuring party. But they are not settled in this area of Morgram. I think they are more towards the east.
So, right.
And that was basically the information you got. And as far as deciphering the runes, Asch had an idea of trying to find his surrogate family of adventurers that raised him, and one of whom was a dwarf, but you have no real lead on where they are anyway, so that sort of is a dead end right now.
Right. Well, I feel so. Me as a player is assuming that the leader of the town is going to be gone for a while as they go to pay their debts.
Yeah. So Amelia doesn't necessarily have to go herself, but she is very like to because of the stakes of the situation. And so she's not really going to send a delegate. She's going to directly go to the homeland, which is going to be about a month's travel back and forth. So she's gone for a while while she takes care of this.
And didn't we see if the Threshling can help escort? Or as far as they can,
the Suresh wound up escorting the ships out to get the gold and whatnot and bring that back. But as far as getting back to Barash, that's not even an issue. As long as the Suresh don't sink them, which at this point we've established that they won't.
Anyone got any ideas?
Well, I'm still recovering from that hangover. Well, I could be fully recovered at this point, right?
It's been a couple days, so you have fully recovered from the hangover, but you still have poor memories of it at the very least. It was enough of a hangover to knock you out completely and prevent you from accompanying the rest of the party. So it was a banger. You overdrank way too much. As for possibilities of leads of things you can do, I mean, you could try and meet the stone giant again somehow, but you would have to get a lead on that. See if there's anything related to that you can do. You can explore just randomly as you see fit, as you have sort of disentangled yourself from having to live in the village already, Runt, so you're basically a free goblin now. You could pursue something related to Magnific Owl's sort of like character goal is basically just adventure, but Zephyr has more of a specific goal in relation to her siblings.
She's looking for her coven, isn't she?
Yeah, she's looking for her coven. So you could see if you could find any leads on that, or you could try and see if you can help out Stantrum a little bit more in some way, shape, or form that might lead you elsewhere. I
would be for us taking more time with this area. Ask around concerning our personal goals. Get to know people. Make friends. And any useful knowledge we can.
Yeah, I mean
that sounds a very good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make friends. We already have, but definitely
More the merrier.
I'll tag along with Zephyr. And have you mentioned you've mentioned your coven, but you think you've asked where they've been once or twice?
Yeah, I believe she was informed by someone that they heard. I believe Rhoda mentioned that they've been heard. They might have been heading north.
Okay, well, we could definitely investigate that.
Yeah, so basically you have generic leads for things of interest, either in general north or general east. You don't have any good specifics as to it.
Yeah, and I'm assuming we might nip two tails in the bud if we go north and find a kobold settlement.
Yeah. We can ask around, see if there were any merchants from up north that might have seen.
That's a good point. We could totally see if there's been merchants from the north.
Yeah.
See if there's any trade and such back and forth.
Yeah.
Perhaps a convoy that needs defending.
That's another thing. Yeah.
All right. Where would be your initial place to go to gather some information on something to do, basically?
Runt's first thought would be go talk to Amelia, but she's gone.
Yeah, like you could get a quick talk in with her before she leaves, because obviously they need to make preparations. She can't leave immediately, but she's going to be busy intermixed with all of it. So you could talk to her if you wanted to, and if that's your gut feeling.
I mean, she has been taking care of this town. She has. I would assume she probably would know, and if not there, one of us could check the tavern.
Zephyr would volunteer for tavern.
Okay.
Problem, Zephyr.
Oh, yeah. She'd volunteer to go to the tavern if whoever actually goes there and talk.
Yeah. So far, in the immediate part, Runt is the only one who can talk to people.
I have
Yeah.
a solution. I have a solution to this. It's a 3rd level spell, and I prepared it. I'm going to
I think you're gonna have that spell eternally prepared at this point, from what I gather.
I'm going to cast... There has to be... I'm going to even cast it on Chaise, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to see how long it divides. I can show you... Targets creatures touched. 24 hours.
Is it 24 hours per creature?
Yeah, the duration is 24, but I think per target reduces the duration.
Let's just say even split to keep things moving along. So for the next like half of a day, both of you can speak common
Yeah, so
to
12
a
hours
relatively
both y'all
decent
can
degree.
speak.
That
Whoa.
feels very strange.
Give us your best common.
Huh.
Yeah, so
Starts to-
Zephyr, all of a sudden you can overhear some conversations about a bunch of pedantic weird shit being spoken in this tongue that still sounds wrong, but you can understand it for some
I will
reason.
paste the description of the spell in Discord.
Chestnut, boat, door, fish, frick.
Just looking
Oh,
around at
yeah.
objects and being like, that's what that's called in this language.
There is the wall of text I gotta go through.
Omelette du fromage.
Is that? Oh. Huh.
So I'm going to share with them the language common. Like common.
Yeah, the foreign common or whatever, if we want to be technical about
Long
it.
shanks.
Longshank common, yes. So you have this sudden ability to understand, and you decide to split up and get some information. To start off, just because I think it's funnier and to put you on the spot, Zephyr, we're going to follow you, and I assume Chaise accompanying you to the tavern to talk with some of the locals there and see if you can find any leads for anything that might be useful to do.
All right. So she's pretty pumped. Has like a bouncer, just has like a bounce in her step. She's kind of half walking, half flying, kind of like glides in through the door.
Just like a skipping beat, yeah.
I can understand. It just points at, just like gestures to the
barkeep.
gestures to the tankard. It's just like, me, ale. Or is at least her best assumption to just...
Yeah, as you say that, the barkeep is just like, okay. And then waves to one of the waiters to bring some over. You can't have me.
Chair. Counter.
Chair. Chaise looks up at you.
Yeah. Me.
Chair.
You understood that.
Chaise. Chair. Ah.
Oh
Is
my
that how-
God.
Chaise? Is that how my name sounds? In this two-legged language?
Oh, Zephyr.
It's so foreign.
This is everything I wanted.
And yeah, as this happens, Zephyr, you find yourself being like escorted by the bartender over to a chair and sat down in front of the table, and then some cups of mead being put in front of you and Chaise.
This feels... Yeah, okay. No, this is a part of the spell. I think I do prefer to perch, but this is interesting. Ale or mead, Chaise?
home, I would probably have some ale.
She tries her best to just carefully like shove the ale to you with one of her wings.
Roll me
Start just, like, lapping up the
dexterity
meat.
to see if you somehow knock it over. Just for shits and gigs. You almost topple it over, but Chaise manages to grab it in time.
Oh, sorry.
Pas de problème, pas de problème. This sounds so strange when I say it out loud now. This is how it sounds in the human tongue. As she sips her ale, like...
The bartender looks at
Ace.
you and then looks at Zephyr and it's just like, why does the chair have such a weird accent?
Accent. We all speak in ways.
Well, duh.
Dispel, maybe?
What is an accent?
Never mind. What are you here for other than mead? I gather you're not just here to drink, especially after your chuck last night. I'm still cleaning that back room, by the way. You owe me a little bit.
Chaise looks embarrassed down down at the meat and is like, yes.
It seems natural. I've seen some laying in the alleys. So long as you had fun.
We.
But yes, we would enjoy, or at least I would enjoy some food too, and also just to try out our new speech. And
Yeah.
actually, starting with you, do you hear a lot of what are called rumors coming through here? Or do
He
you
just sort of looks at you for a moment and he's just like, oh yeah, you're foreigners. Yeah, of course I hear rumors. I'm a bartender.
Yes, I've heard.
This is the
heard
kind
that's
of
how
place
it
where
works.
everyone comes, and whenever they talk, I overhear shit. It's almost impossible not to.
Dabblers from the north.
Oh, northerners? There's a smaller brush settlement up north that some people have been wandering back and forth to, but things have been getting a little bit strained. Apparently there's something going on up there. I don't know.
Something like, what sort of something?
It's been... Anyone who has come up from up north has basically been lingering around a lot longer than it seems usual for them. They don't seem to want to go home for some reason. That's all I can really gather from it. Hell, if I'm going that way.
Are there any from up that way in town now, or perhaps in this tavern?
Oh, that guy. He just points to like this figure in the corner, just like lingering and hunched over another cask of mead.
Very. How do you say? Dramatic. Perhaps
He
we'll converse with
sneezes
him.
in the corner.
Well, yeah, perhaps we could converse with him after. Chaise, do you want anything to eat?
Oh.
I already know what you want. Give me a moment. He just seems to walk off a little bit, and he comes back and he lays down like this big rack of ribs in front of you.
But of course.
Yeah. I already know what you like. You asked for like 20 of these during your hangover.
It is canon now. Chaise likes ribs.
Yeah, and you eat the bones too.
Clean the plate.
But yeah, after a short bit of a meal, it takes about like 10-20 minutes for you to fully eat, as you don't really rush yourselves, and Chaise decides it's probably a good idea to stagger how quickly she drinks the ale. The gentleman that you were looking at, who was just lingering in the corner, seems to shuffle about and stand up and start to walk out.
Zephyr, Zephyr steps up and like just a very casual like glide over to where the guy is.
As you approach him, he sort of just like looks up and how would you describe this movement of yours? You said like
So
gliding, just like
she kind of just like steps up in her seat, kind of like posts like 1 foot off the table and just kind of like glides her way across the hall to where he is, and just kind of like comes in for like a landing right next to him.
as you're about to land, I want you to make a perception check for me. DC 15. Oh yeah, as you land, you notice that something seems a little bit off, and you instinctively float back a little bit as a knife barely skims right in front of where your face was just a moment before.
Whoa! Like
And you look
gets
up
back
and you
another.
see this dark-skinned figure underneath a even darker cloak, just looking up at you, with sort of seemingly crazed eyes, just like, away.
She after kind of like goes back a few more feet and just like slowly just like lands with kind of like one wing tucked under, like bow. It's like, I mean you no harm. I simply have some questions.
The figure looks at you and seems to, like, hesitate in response to you actually speaking something it can understand. And it just, like, looks left and right and then slowly lowers the knife, but obviously isn't putting it away. And they just look at you, and just like the voice said, speak quickly.
Yes, fortunately, I think I may already know the answer, but are there beings like me up there? I've heard there's been trouble, and well,
Like you, they don't speak.
oh yeah, I won't by the end of the hour. You see, it's some magic. Just my language, not my temperament. I'm quite friendly.
I'll believe it when I see it. Still holding the knife, just like sort of in a position where you know, like, instinctively that he's ready to throw it at a moment's notice.
I would not recommend that, but huh.
Lifts up his head and looks down at you, and you can see these like glaring, like bloodshot yellow eyes.
Yes, well, have there been oh boy, I should have thought of these questions
I
out in
said,
advance.
speak quickly. You're
Yes,
wasting my time.
Well, have there been many harmed? How
Too
many? Hmm. Well, I think that's all I really need to know for now. For what's for what little I'm sure it's worth, you have my condolences.
None of mine have gotten. But it's hard to do business when everyone around you is scared of every little movement.
Would you be going back then?
I wait, but by the week's end, I have to return. I can't
By the
afford
week's end.
holding my room here much longer.
Sounds like I
You-
can't afford to wait either.
This figure sort of like
If-
leans his head down again and pulls up the hood, and you see that it's a very like dark skin, like even darker than your like feathers in some places, like the majority of your like torso skin and feathers. And they also seem to have very long pointed ears, much like your own, but you can tell that they're obviously not of your kin. They are elven in nature, or at least seem to look like the elf Longshanks that you met earlier. Like that monk that you fought, except much darker skin.
I will, I hope to go there soon. I'm not so confident, but I will see if I can get them to stop.
I doubt it. With that, he just sort of like tilts his head a little bit to you, sort of like puts the knife away finally, but is eyeing you the entire time as he passes by you and leaves.
Zephyr, just kind of, it's like a sad, flat back to the table and just kind of finishes her drink.
And with that, you just seem to eat for a short bit longer as we sort of shift the focus of the camera elsewhere to by the dockside as Runt has been looking around to find out where Amelia is and finally has been told that she is at the boat actively helping the preparations to leave. And as you approach the dockside, you see a large ship, what seems to be the same ship that the nobleman had come on earlier, sitting there and being loaded up with all sorts of supplies and things, including a lot of the gold. In fact, all of the gold that was acquired from the Cerestrally sunk ships.
I'm just going to find one of the most inopportune times to climb up because I don't know what the fuck they're doing. So just wait. Oh, okay. Then go and climb up the ship.
Yep, so you step up onto the ship, and as you come onto the deck, you notice the guards like fucking firemen line hauling like small chests of wealth up and in. And you spot this strange sort of glowing in the corner. And it takes you a moment, then you realize that's just some armor and whatnot that looks vaguely familiar, and then you realize it's the armor of some of the guards that had been protecting the nobleman earlier, just piled in the corner haphazardly.
I'll walk over to the pile and see what I can find. I don't
You
know.
head on over.
I don't know if what they're doing with it. They just have it in a pile. I know that the armor belonged to guards who probably were fired or relieved of duty. So I'm just gonna look over and see if there's anything interesting.
Yeah, so you head on over to the armor, and this whole entire lot seems to be just like standard sort of a Longshank armor from what you know of it, just lying about in the corner. And as you start to like loot through it, you hear some footsteps behind you, and you instinctively turn around, and it's just Amelia looking down at you with like a raised eyebrow.
Hey.
What are you doing?
Well, I figured the occupants of these clothing no longer will be needing them. I want to see what they had.
I see. Why are you really here?
Uh, Why was I here again? Oh, right. I think that Zephyr was looking for their kin, and someone had mentioned they were north. I was come to see if there's any people going that way, or if people's from that way have heard anything about it.
Oh, all right. Dear, I hope they're not the same. Uh, there have been some reports that I've been given of strange winged beasts to the north that have been causing chaos and whatnot amongst the locals of the northern town of Moreston.
Moreston?
Yes, Moreston.
Wait, not so fast! Not so fast!
She just pulls out a piece of paper, quickly scribbles the name of it, and hands it to you.
Morstin? Are you gonna put in Discord?
It's spelled like Moreston, like pronounced Moreston. She hands you that. It's just like, yes, it's a smaller settlement of Brush. I'm pretty sure that one was settled legitimately, unlike ours. And they have been having such issues. All of our trade caravans that have been sent up north have been, so to say, intercepted, I would say. Does not bode very well.
When was the last thing that went out?
We sent one last caravan. Well, that's the wrong word. We sent a scouting party, really, up there a few weeks ago that has not sent any word back. So I am quite sure that they have either become indisposed or are no longer with us on this mortal plane. I try not to think about it.
Well, it seems like that might be Zephyr's kin. Zephyr's been looking for him. Maybe we can... He sits there trying to think of the word to use.
Would you like to lead another caravan out that way? Excellent, I'll have them prepared for you.
Wait,
I have work here to do. Excuse me, guards, would you please escort Runt off the ship so that we can continue to move things around? Oh, and you could take this. She tosses you a necklace from the pile.
Woo! I probably, do the helmets have, like, plumes on the top?
No, they weren't that decorative.
Damn. Okay, the necklace will do.
So yeah, you get this small necklace. It's like a silver necklace with what seems like gold flakes painted onto it, but it's like it's obviously like actually silver in the majority of its composition, and it doesn't seem to emanate any obvious magical aura to you. But it's pretty, and it's probably worth a little bit.
It's already on the neck. It's now been consumed by my barrage of necklaces I have.
And in that respect, you have this thing lingering around your neck as you move off elsewhere, and as you're leaving the area, just like, I'll have them meet you at the bar tomorrow morning.
What's a caravan?
You'll find out!
Okay.
And she continues to do, like, the work. She's getting a lot more directly involved than most noble people would, to be honest, and that's basically as you'd expect from her at this point.
I think at some point in transition to the tavern, Runt would have just put while wearing it, put the necklace in its mouth and just started chewing on it.
You leave some dents in it as you go about this.
Oh,
There's
that's
a necklace of
already.
fireball.
Oh no! No! Is it suddenly the ship's on fire, everyone's dead. Yeah, made my way to the tavern.
As you head back to the bar, you eventually come in, and as you come back inside of the tavern, you cross paths with this strange, dark-skinned knife ear. They look at you briefly, sort of just grunt in acknowledgement, and continue walking.
Bye!
And as you step through the door, you see Zephyr and Chaise at the counter again, once again eating. Chaise, roll a con check for me.
Time to roll a constitutions check.
You got this.
Yeah, DC 15.
See if I get that right.
You are barely holding your liquor.
Oh shit! It's happening again, fellas!
At this point, very knowledgeably, the barkeep has cut you off. But you, at this point, are still sitting, bordering on the edge of too much.
I walk in, sit between the two of them if there's a spot, or next to one of them if there's a spot. What's a caravan?
Oh, I believe by the way I said it might be maybe some sort of group of people.
Oh. But apparently tomorrow we gotta do a thing. And we're going north, apparently. Whatever this caravan is.
Oh, perfect. Actually, well,
Amelius. What?
oh, yes. That man you greeted, he is from there, and was quite terrified to see me while I approached. I think I know where my sisters are.
Wait, if we're going north and they see us, they probably try to kill us. We should probably get some sort of note. Like an IOU.
Well, they'll see. Oh, yes, the Longshanks.
Yeah.
Well, if they're the Longshanks in the caravan could speak for us, I suppose, as I could speak for them and when my sisters appear or try to.
Well,
If worse comes to worse, I don't think they would have any quarrel with any of you. It's mainly the Longshanks they are after.
right. So apparently she sent out some
Not that I
scouts.
hope to allow a slaughter.
Yeah, well, apparently Amelia sent out scouts a couple weeks ago. They just gone. No word, nothing.
Ooh.
Oh, mystery.
Yeah, we could be like mystery people. Figure out what happened to them.
I'm afraid
This-
you might find each one in several different places.
Mystery solvers.
So, a puzzle.
They will resemble one.
Right. Yeah, she said tomorrow morning at the tavern something about a caravan and pushed me off a ship. But I got this and I hold up my necklace. with obvious teeth marks in him.
Just whistles. Oh, very nice.
I'll look around. Is Darun in here?
The dwarf and his adventuring party do not seem to be here anymore.
Ah.
I look towards the barkeep. Hey! Where'd that drinking person go?
Oh, him?
Yeah.
I've told him about something or other. They were talking with Amelia. They were headed north.
They went
Uh-oh.
north. Oh no.
Oh no, mon Dieu!
We need to go.
Wonderful.
We need to go. I like them.
And
You don't think they were her scouting party?
It's funny they couldn't go back to the ship to ask Amelia for the scouting party.
so do you actually go
Okay,
back to the
time
ship?
for another mystery.
Kind of just drop conversation to full on sprint back. Wait at the bottom of the ship calling her Amelia until she comes on. Look over at the corner.
I would like you to roll for me. Let's see, what would fit the best in this? I'm going to call it a acrobatics check. This is basically, it's more of an athletics check, but okay, yeah. You are able to sprint fast enough, just barely, that you are able to catch the ship as it's about to weigh anchor. Amelia looks over the ship, sees you, and you can see her just like exasperated sigh. We're about to leave, Runt. What is it?
Was the people you sent out there that drinking dwarf guy and the others?
No, we sent out that scouting party earlier, but I did mention it to them.
Oh, so they went to go investigate those guys?
Oh, they left? They went north? That
They
would
weren't
be
here.
my
I asked
guess.
for them. Okay.
I'm not sure. They're not currently under my employ, so I wouldn't know.
Okay. I'll make sure to keep things good around here while you're gone.
She just looks at you with like a blank stare as the ship weighs anchor and starts to leave. At the last moment, as you're still watching her, you can see her face palm and just like turn and look ahead.
You didn't say anything about it, so I'm in charge.
No, you aren't.
Who said that?
You turn and you see Zerud Stantrum.
Wait, what? What?
The town guard, not the dwarf.
What?
I think I mixed up their names
No, Zerud
minorly.
was the dwarf.
Zarun.
Oh.
Z-A-R-U-N. Zerud Stantrum. Yes, that's it. Mixing them up. I
Oh.
told you I mixed them up.
Oh.
Zerud Stantrum stands next to you. He's just like, you're not in charge.
Says who?
Says me, her second in command.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad we're in agreement.
What can I do for you?
He just stares at you. He's just like, you could, not stick around here. We got some cleaning up to do.
I look around. What is there to clean? So probably
They're
a
like
lot of crates.
they're like packing up a bunch of shit again from assumedly stuff that was taken off of that ship that was not intended to go back, and they're currently working on like packing it up and taking it away.
Any garbage you're gonna throw away?
He looks at you and he just like points away from the pier. He's just like, go away.
Okay. I leave.
You hear like a bemoaning like wheeze of annoyance as you leave, but he doesn't
trying to,
make any
just
big
say
deal about it. I was groaning in frustration. Now leave.
Okay.
And with that, you head back towards the bar. So here's the question. Do you stick around and wait for the caravan, or do you run off ahead?
We're given a job by me. Just leave.
Yeah,
You're cutting out a little bit, Runt.
Oh. I said we turn up the gain a little bit. Better?
Yeah, that's better.
I don't want to make Camellia mad, so we'll kind of just wait. I want to see what a caravan is anyway.
Goblin
If we,
curiosity wins out.
Yeah.
Yes, if we got too if we left too far ahead, caravan could run into, well, potentially anything without us around. That would be unfortunate.
Wait a minute. Technically, she put Bunt in charge of the caravan.
No, she told you to accompany the caravan,
boy.
but if your deranged mind thinks that that's what it meant, then you can act on that and be wrong.
We'll find out.
The following day, you wake up and you step outside, and there's this. So, like the Tiny Tim kind of thing from God Bless Us Everyone, Christmas Carol kind of kid.
Everyone.
Like with a crutch and a broken leg and whatnot, and not doing very well, not looking very good. Yeah, that's basically how you would describe this kid that greets you. As he looks up at you and he's just like, "Are you the little green one they told me about? You don't look very green."
I ain't green. I'm blue.
That's good enough. He's not the normal color, and we don't get a lot of normal color folks around here joining in on our caravans. And you see this child, he just sort of like looks up at you, and underneath the hat you can see, like, his face looks like it's covered in ash. You should join the caravan. You should join the caravan, won't you?
Yeah, what's caravan?
Alright, that cart over there, go and sit in it. Points to a mostly, rather entirely barren wooden cart with a bedraggled looking horse at the head of it.
I will approach the horse.
Sit in the cart part, not on the horse part.
I've never seen a horse before. What is this?
That's a horse. They use
Right.
them to carry our carts around. They're from home. Got real sick on the boat out here.
Oh no.
He's doing fine now.
I'll give him a good berry.
Yay!
You give the horse a berry, it eats it out of your hand in typical horse fashion.
It probably feels really fucking good now.
The horse immediately perks up a little bit, for sure. But you get a strange impression that, in spite of the berry, it only has so much energy it can possess, considering its frame. Like, you understand the basic idea of a beast of burden. You've used frogs at the at your village to help move things around. Not to like caravan levels, but
You're just a really big frog.
yeah. You've used them to help you around moving things, mostly as companions and whatnot, not just as labor mules, but you understand the basic idea of a beast of burden.
Mhm.
This one looks like it shouldn't be able to haul this cart at all. It's not in good shape. It's very, like, thin, and you can see some of that same sort of soot kind of stuff all over it that hasn't been washed out at all.
Right.
And as you continue to look at this horse, another figure comes up to you. Contrary to the young one, this one towers over you. Not to say that basically any Longshank towers over you comparatively, but this one would tower over you if you were a normal-sized human. There are at least...
gotta, like, basically bend my ass backwards to look
You're looking straight the fuck up. As this massive, muscular figure with a pickaxe over his shoulder looks down at you. You can see one eye open, the other closed, as he sort of just, like, glares at you. He's just like, you getting on or what?
In a minute.
We don't have a minute.
I'm gonna...
10 seconds.
How does the horse, like...
10.
Fuck it. I'm gonna cast Ant Haul on the horse.
What does this do?
Ant Haul triples the carrying capacity of an animal, making it weigh lighter than it should. So basically, for the next 10 hours, what's the creature's strength score?
You would have to get a better idea of horses for that, and you don't know.
No,
Like,
this
at
is
a
like above board, based on the strength score of a modifier. It alleviates the light load, medium load, and heavy load maximum, making it easier to travel stuff.
So, at best, you can probably assume that this is taking it from a heavy load down to a medium load for this thing.
Give a nice little pat.
The horse seems to like you, and you don't necessarily want to dissuade it from continuing to do so, as it just sort of, like, nuzzles against you, and this big guy just sort of rolls his eyes and just says, 3,
What's that on the front of the
2...
cart?
That's better. All right, back up. Wait, weren't there 2 other ones? Just looks at Chaise and Zephyr, and it's just like,
Zephyr just like lands on top of just on perched on top of a cart.
Yeah.
all right, that is right concerning. You're staying nowhere near me, he says, pointing at Zephyr.
Oh, I'll likely take to the air and scout ahead most of the time.
I'm watching you. And who said we were bringing a chair along? I never volunteered to carry any furniture.
Oh, do not worry. She turns into a flat chair.
To the stone dog.
Did you, I will allow this in post just to make this funny moment happen, but did you give them the ability to speak again?
I have. That's going to be a
Alright.
daily thing. I mean, I'm going to be down a 3rd level spell, but having the party able to communicate is vital.
Yeah,
And
so
I'm
you're
hoping
keeping this
eventually
up.
they can pick up on the common language easier than Runt did.
Yeah,
because of
so
this.
you're eventually hoping that the entire party can learn regular
Mhm.
common, but as of right now, you are both under the effect of the spell and can understand. He just looks down at you as you change shape, and he's just like, that is also right concerning. You're in that cart. He says, looking at Chaise, and points at another cart. This one is filled with other stuff and is being led by not a horse, but a very big pig.
You might want that one up front in case things go sour. That one is the fighter of us.
The guy
He has
looks
a big
down at you,
sword.
Runt. Even when you're perched up in the cart, he's still towering over you.
They got a big sword.
I think I can handle the front.
They got a big sword.
This gentleman walks over to Chaise and just sort of holds his hand out. Can I hold that a moment?
Sure.
You hand him your, greatsword. He holds it in one hand and just looks about. And, he looks straight up, pulls it down to his side, and yeets it square into the sky. Just hold up a moment. Got a last couple things to load up. He walks off. Your sword is still gone. About 2 minutes later, it falls down.
Okay.
And just, stabs into the ground.
I guess I go back and pick it up.
Yep, and by the time you pick it up, it has landed. The cart is ready to go.
Oh.
And then as he's back at the front, he's just like, "You're on that cart." And he once again points at the cart at the back with the pig leading it.
All right.
And with that, the cart finishes gathering its things, prepping up. In total, you have only really met these two because they're the only ones seeming to talk. In most of the carts, except for the one that Runt is in, there are a couple of people. In total, this caravan is only about 7 people total before you guys. And the rest of the people are not talking. They're thin, bedraggled, sitting there, just sort of trying to avoid eye contact with anything, including each other, all cloaked in very ragged, brown, soot-covered clothing. None of them seem even remotely happy. If you had come across this without knowing it was a caravan, you would have thought this was a slave procession.
Ooh.
It is not a good sight, but the cart begins to move out north along a very rough road. It is not it's obviously a road of travel due to just regular travel and being tread upon by human feet and caravan carts, but it's not properly built at all. And the gentleman at the front of the party is just like, "My name is Rogart. We'll be traveling up north to Morston. You are encouraged to keep your hands, feet, arms, and anything in your person inside of the carts at all times. If I catch you doing anything weird, I am very like to use this pickaxe on you. Don't do anything weird, especially you," he says, pointing at Zephyr.
So I shouldn't fly ahead to scout. I'll stay within sight.
Sit.
Very well.
He just points down like a dog and just he's treating you very gruffly. This is obviously not any way he would treat anyone that he actually even remotely respected. It's not the best of feelings, but as he does that, he then proceeds to the rest of you and says, "This will be a long journey. We are going about give or take 160 kilometers up north, up towards the hills. Once we're about 10 kilometers out from the town is when things get dangerous. So we will be wary, and I will inform you once we reach that point. I cannot promise I can do anything about keeping you safe, considering the conditions, but you signed up or have been signed up for this endeavor. Whether or not you decided to do so, you're stuck here. Nobody leaves the caravan. Not on my watch." much. Welcome to the Morgram Trail. Goddamn. That little one is Ron, he says, pointing at the bedraggled young child with a crutch who is now sitting in the cart next to Chaise. That is my son. If you touch him, I'll kill you.
If
And with that-
anything would come to harm to your child, I will.
Shut up. Look, I'll be blunt. I don't trust you a lot. I just got told by Amelia I gotta take you along.
You know why she's leaving, right?
I know. I don't care.
Bah.
He says that, and then the cart at the very front is probably in the best condition and seems to have the strongest looking beast of burden. But as soon as he sits in it, the beast seems to wince. And starts going a little bit slower. But the cart procession continues northbound along the road. And at this point, this gentleman doesn't say anything else. He's just sitting there in stoic silence, watching the road as you proceed along this trail. And like 160 kilometers is like about a few days journey from here. Is there anything in particular you guys get up to in the midst of all this?
Well, this guy's being a furor on us, so he kind of can't do anything.
So you decide not to try and mess with him or rise out of him and perform?
Obviously not, because he's threatened us on several occasions already before we even left. And Runt's not even going to be paying attention as he sits in front because this guy is being a prick.
Already a good impression of him, I see. As you're going along the ride, at some point, Rogart is being very stoic and quiet, but Chaise, after about like 30 minutes of sitting there and kicking his one good leg back and forth, the child named Ron turns to you and just sort of leans over really close and is just like, "Why do you look like that?"
I am from a proud family of chairs.
I didn't know chairs had families.
Yes, I have proud packs. And, well, I too have a little brother. Well, I'm not sure if you have siblings.
I'm
Pardon.
an only child. Dad
Oh,
takes
dear.
care of me ever since Mom passed.
Oh. Yes.
He wipes some soot from his forehead and just like looks at you again and he's just like, "Why do you look like such a weird chair?"
Wait, I didn't get the question.
Why do you look like such a weird chair?
I have once discovered a very important tome, and she puts out the magazine. And it has wonderful, beautiful chairs of magnificent beauty, which is why I went out and about, because, well, if there's so much beauty and adventure in the world, I need to seek it out.
He looks at the little magazine you got and he's just like, "Oh, I've never seen one of these before. The pictures are pretty."
Yeah. She nods her head very excitedly.
He just keeps looking at the chairs for a moment and just like, Just like awkwardly sitting there, wiping soot from his brow every now and then. Just like seemingly never-ending spout of soot coming from his forehead. And then he turns and he looks over at Runt. And he looks at you longingly. He's just like, "Where are you from, sir?"
Look back, and I take my finger and point towards me. Confused.
"Yeah."
I survey the area. Approximately how visible is the swamplands from where we're at?
It is not, bluntly. Let me do this for you. I'm moving where the party is currently in their endeavors. You're like here. That's it.
Oh, we're here.
Yep, your
And we
party
can't
is this
see
token.
any bit of the swamps.
No, it is the nearest point at which you could see the swamp is probably about like 30 kilometers east of here.
I will point the direction to the swamp. I go, I live that way.
The swamp?
Yeah.
What's it like out there?
What's the best way? It's damp.
Damn,
Damp.
it's real dry where I live. Rains on occasion, but not very much. Just like awkwardly looking at you, there's just this pause. This kid doesn't know how to hold a conversation at all.
It's okay. Neither does Runt.
Yeah, it's just like this awkward silence of two awkward conversationalists having an awkward conversation. But this sort of like short lining of questions keeps going on a little bit of weird, like, where are you from? Why do you look like that? What do you do? How are you? Kind of stuff. Like just boring ass conversation.
At one point, I'm guessing these wagons are open backed as well.
Oh yeah, none of these have any coverings actually. So the little drawing Chaise gave earlier, it's adorable but a bit inaccurate. It's just like a flat board on wheels.
I think at some point Runt probably would have climbed in the back and looked out back towards the trailing caravan. He would have seen the pig. Is that a boar?
That's a pig.
What's a pig?
It's like a boar, but not a boar.
But it looks like a boar.
Yeah, it's like a boar, but it ain't not a boar. Dad, how will I explain this? Boars are wild. We don't raise boars. Pigs are domesticated.
Oh, like frogs. Got it.
Frogs are wild too. I don't know what you're on about.
No. See, that's where you're wrong. Frogs aren't wild. They people swap use them all the time. I got one with me right now, and I flick my necklace with that as my frog pendant. His name's Gobbles.
Right. Okay. He keeps looking ahead.
I turned
The little
around.
little kid looks at you like interested. He's just like, "What are frogs like where you live?"
Bigger than me.
Like the little kid is just like holding his arms across all the way. He's just like, "What, bigger than that?"
I point to the pig, bigger than that.
Really?
Yeah.
And you got one? How do you have one?
These raised together.
Oh. Are they like dogs?
No. They're more like So have you ever heard of the Great Frog Bane?
No.
That's what we folk talk to he looks over the swamps. We actually saw him before. It's a big old frog. Well, we didn't see him. We saw one of his. What's that word?
One of his kids.
No, not kids. It's like they work with them.
One of his co-workers.
No, not coworker. What's the other word?
I just imagined this conversation trying to figure out how the word goes on with a bunch of really dumb answers for like the next 10 minutes.
Until the word disciple or archmage or archbishop. I guess you would consider it.
It would be more of a disciple in your tongue.
Yeah,
Would be
yeah.
the things. Or one of his proxies would also be another word for it.
Yeah. That's until a phrasing begins like that. That's how long that continues.
Oh. So like a priest or something.
Yeah, actually.
He wear a weird hood and things
no.
like that.
So you see how big those ships were in the town?
Yeah.
They was bigger than that.
What?
Yeah, it is in a swamp.
That's crazy.
Just don't mess with the frogs in the swamp though. They always watching.
I don't think I could hurt one if I wanted to, he says, wiggling his one foot and raising his weak, soot-covered arm.
Not with that attitude.
I was
yeah.
born with like this.
Well, you let anyone know that just be careful of the frogs in the swamp. They're always watching.
Okay. And at this point, he just sort of like goes quiet and continues to kick his one leg in boredom as you guys... Basically, we're going to fast forward a little bit. You go through another whole day or so, and as you proceed through the plains here, you see like wide stretches of tall grass and strange things. Everywhere you go all along this path, nothing seems to really pop out at you. It's probably because of like the strength and numbers kind of thing, and none of the local wildlife want to attack a caravan like this because they fear the repercussions of doing so. At one point, there's a strange sort of like small wolf that approaches meagerly, and it seems like it's hostile for a moment, but then just Rogart takes a like small hunch of very thin meat and tosses it to the side, and the wolf goes after that, and you proceed along. Just like not even a word edgewise about it. No mention, no talk. Just toss meat, wolf leaves, keep moving. And as you go further and further into the plains, eventually Rogart calls for camp to be made and basically says to you all, you can step out of the carts for now, but you don't go too far, you hear me?
Okay.
And with that, they pull out some rudimentary sort of like tent kind of things and find a patch of a relatively flat area without too tall grass and set up something there to spend the night.
I'm gonna let Gobble materialize and get some stretching in and everything just to show Run that how big he is.
Gobbles pops out of this thing similar to like a Pokeball.
Well,
And,
no, it's actually he turns into this wooden car.
He turns into this wooden carving, but how I imagine it when he pops out is it just flashes white light and he reemerges. So it's like, go, carving ball!
Go, carry companion.
Yeah. And he just sort of rematerializes, and as he does, Ron, who was sort of just sitting down on the grass, looks around, and just like you see his eyes widen, he's just like, that's a big frog!
Told you.
Just like looking at Gobbles intently. Gobbles looks around, stretching a little bit, and then looks at the kid. And they sort of lock eyes, and you notice this.
Play nice.
all of a sudden Gobbles extends out his tongue and just taps the kid's forehead with the end of his tongue and then retracts it. And the kid just like taps his forehead and like surprised and notices that there's a patch of soot actually gone. Amazing.
What is that phrase for it? Oh, he ruined the symmetry. That's what he did.
Asymmetry?
Yeah, because it's a term when you're doing power washing is you wash an area that is disgusting, which makes the other house filthy in comparison.
Yeah, so there's just like this one clean circle in this rough shape of like a tongue spot on his forehead, and everything else is soot. And underneath the soot, you notice that his skin is very dark tan. Similar to that one tall individual, as Zephyr observes from back at the tavern.
I'm gonna let Gobbles hang around for a bit. We're camping for the night.
Yeah, you're just camping out for the night, so if anything, you could just let Gobbles rest the night with you.
I will take a minute to create a web shelter for the four of us. I'm assuming Aisha's with us, but just
Yeah, Aisha's along with you, but is just
he's annoying the tail end of the caravan.
he has been shoved into the back cart somewhere
He's been playing I Spy.
with himself and Tommy.
Like Ispy.
Yeah, so it only lasts for 5 hours. Never mind, no web shelter. We're camping under the stars tonight.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a very long shelter for sleep. It would give way halfway through, and if it rained, you would be drenched. Luckily, it does not wind up raining at all during the night. Time progresses yet further.
So before I don't have the material components for that spell. Runt doesn't even know he can do that. Never mind.
All right. As the dawn starts to break the following day, Zephyr, used to waking up at the crack of dawn, raise your eyes open and you notice the land about you, and it's peaceful. It's very interesting, sort of like glowing off of the tall grass in sort of a golden way, almost like the stereotypical like American fields of grain kind of thing, but with a lot less, planned nature to how things are planted, so everything's overgrowing one another.
She's definitely digging this. Would definitely fly high in the morning. Just kind of it's just kind of circling around the camp. Technically on lookout, but it's really just trying to just enjoy the peace.
As you're flying about, after like 10 minutes, everyone else is still asleep, but as you look about, you look down back towards the camp for a moment, and you see Rogart just like standing there and looking at you.
Just kind of like lets yourself kind of like drop a moment, do kind of like a quick like salute before continuing our flight path.
He looks at you, and his one eye that he keeps open just sort of slits a little bit, and then he just keeps watching, but he doesn't say anything.
I'm assuming I wouldn't really be able to communicate not having that spell active when I wake up.
Yeah, as of right now, Runt hasn't recast the spell, so you can't talk to him at all, and you couldn't understand him if he said anything, but he is very stoic and just standing there saying nothing.
Yeah, that's fine. She doesn't really say anything back. She might.
And
so presumably, I know she can't exempt people, but if she wanted to sing, it wouldn't automatically trigger her power, would it? She could just like sing for the hell of it.
Yeah, you can sort of choose whether or not you're putting in the effect of your singing.
All right, she probably is just like singing.
Keep
Just
in mind, I am going to mess with you, and if you don't explicitly state that you're not using your power, you will be using your power.
Oh, I absolutely expect you to. So no,
'Cause
but
that's
she
funny.
is. I'm you can't catch me sleeping this time. So yeah, she's gonna just sing her non-powered song as she goes around.
He sort of just like tilts his head to the side and doesn't seem to react at all to the singing. He just keeps watching you. And after a short bit, he stops watching you. Occasionally, he'll glance over his shoulder, but he seems to focus his attention now on the carts and like realigning some of the wheels to make sure that they're traveling properly and that nothing's about to fall off mid caravan ride, which, considering the state of these carts, is probably in all of your best interest. Well, except for you. I mean, you can fly, but for the rest of the ground dwelling folks, you probably want this cart to keep moving.
Suckers. Yeah.
But after about another hour, the sun continues to crack over the dawn horizon, and it is now bright enough that you can very easily say it is now daytime. It's not just like dawn, it's daytime now. And as that happens, he just sort of like wipes the sweat and soot from his brow as he looks about again for a moment, and then he just pulls his fingers up to his mouth and whistles loudly. To the point that none of you can like avoid hearing this, and those of you asleep are more like than not going to wake up from this unless you're a dense sleeper. It's like it's a loud, piercing whistle.
I think once the sun was more pronounced in the air, in the sky, Runt probably would have woken up and started doing his morning ritual, making gobbles back into his necklace.
Yeah, after about 5 minutes of you being awake is when he whistles. So you you're basically like beating your own alarm clock in the morning a tiny bit.
Yeah, so I'm also going to take the time to gather everyone close to cast a spell on them again. But also, since I know no one bothers doing this, but I am casting Good Berry and there are 8 berries created.
Eee!
They give you
More berries.
sustenance to last the day, so you won't need to eat. You can, but you don't need to. They heal you for 1 HP. So Runt will be walking around asking people if they want a berry.
The majority of the folks, and especially Ron, accept because they seem like they're willing to accept any food. They don't even seem to show any suspicion to you. Eventually, the only person left is Rogart, and he looks at you as you walk nearby him.
Runt is going to eat one because he'll eat a ration, but this basically makes him feel nourished and etc. for the day.
Rogart looks down at you, and he's just like, "That's a very meager supply you got there."
Can do a couple more times.
You feeding my people poison?
No, I'll eat one if prove it.
Toss one in your mouth and chew on it, and he just sort of looks at you, and he sort of like loosens up a little bit, and he's just like, "I could use some flavor after all that mucking about. May I have one?"
Yeah.
You toss him one, he catches it midair, somehow able to grab it without squishing it, and tosses it in his mouth. And he just sort of perks up a little bit as he tastes it, and he's just like, "Surprisingly good eatings."
Right. I will also cast Communal Ant Hall on the. How many animals are they carrying? 2, 3?
There are 4 animals in the caravan. There is the pig that is running the back cart. There's a very bedraggled horse, and there are 2 other horses also in pretty bad shape with the front and second most cart of the caravan.
All right. So what I will do, I believe, Communal Antall is a 2nd level spell, and I can target multiple creatures with that. But the time is divided. 2 hours. That gives us 10 hours divided by. So
If it's 4 animals, 2.5 hours per.
yeah, so 2.5 hours of relieved carry weight. I'll mark off the 2
And
spells
2.5
for that.
hours of the caravan seeming to move a bit quicker than it did the day before.
Yep. But also, I will do another casting of Goodberry to get 8 more berries.
Damn.
And I will give one to each of the animal and whoever else hadn't eaten. Because
Everyone seems to be nourished at this point, and all the animals seem to be in good spirit.
Goodberry. Eating one is fine. Oh, these last for the day, so yeah. And they will last until.
Yeah.
Good.
So in total,
nourish
the
you the
number of
whole
living...
Oh, no, the berries last the entire day, so I don't.
Oh, okay.
So I will pocket
That's like
them.
some lumbus bread type stuff.
So, casting Goodberry makes 2d4 freshly picked magical. You and many as any other berries are affected. Each transmuted berry provides nourishment as if it were a normal meal for, but also cures 1 point of damage to a maximum of curing.
You're cutting out
24
again.
hours.
Raise your gain.
It's because I'm a little bit away.
Move yourself closer then.
So basically, for the day, it provides subsequent substance enough to equivalent for 1 meal. Some people mostly eat only 1 meal a day, so kind of use. And it can heal up to a maximum of 8 points in a day.
So all the party caravan members seem to be taken care of quite well, because you got like a total of 16, and including you 3, there's like 10 people and 4 animals, so you have like 2 excess berries.
That's fine.
And the caravan continues to move about at about what you would assume is like 3 or 4 kilometers an hour. It's a little bit lower than the average pace of a human, but
Right.
over the course of a... God damn it. I need to not keep accidentally clicking that button. Over the course of about a pretty long day, you leave really early in the morning, and by the time you stop, it's pretty dark, but for the next about, let's say, 10 hours, you travel. Things are not very lively. There's the usual questions that Ron tosses your way and whatnot, but overall, it's not very exciting. But as you reach the end, Rogart says, "We're stopping here. Tomorrow we reach dangerous territory."
All right.
And you guys are assumedly a little over 10 kilometers out from town.
We're off the beaten path. Well, okay, not really. I'm just being dramatic.
Right,
you said
you
it,
be
me.
dramatic. But yeah, same old thing, another night of camping and whatnot. We're just gonna gloss over this because nothing of any major note happens other than maybe you doing a little bit more Goodberry stuff in the morning and moving along. And as you wake up the following day, sort of the same thing. Zephyr wakes up at the crack of dawn, and you're in an area that is less densely like vegetated. Like it's still plains area, but things are spread out more. The grass is shorter, and there seems to be a very mild incline that you're slowly going up as you're traveling. So it's gotten a little bit slower, but not too much. It's not steep enough for it to really hurt anyone. And as you come up the following day, same thing. He wakes up shortly after the crack of dawn, starts fixing up the carts again for the following day, dealing with anything that may have popped up during the caravan trip. And you continue moving along, but at this point, he's holding his pickaxe the whole time, actively, and he's surveying the scene quite regularly as you proceed further. And as you continue along, the land around you seems to get drier, but not like desert level of dryness, more just like savanna-ish. And as you continue in this area, the grass gets more golden. Seems at a glance malnourished, but on closer inspection, it's just a different, like, strand variety of grass that seems to have this deathly look to it. And you keep moving along for a good while longer. And as you do, I would like all party members to roll me a perception check.
Perception, you say? Don't mind if I do.
Hey,
All right.
That says everything.
perception.
See if Chaise notices as well for that perception. All right. Yeah. So Runt notices this earlier, but Chaise notices it shortly afterwards. Zephyr is a little bit too preoccupied thinking about something else and doesn't pick up on it. But as you're going about, you hear this strange, like, high-pitched noise off in the distance. Sounds like there's some weird, like, seagull kind of birds that live over the swamp. You've heard their cries before. It's similar to that, except shriller somehow.
Oh. Chaise gets a bit spooked.
But yeah, you're hearing this, like, bird-like sound off in the distance. It's still a good ways away, but do you mention anything or whatnot, or do you just, like, it's
I want to
bird
do
noise?
a nature check to determine if they're birds naturally or if they're mimicking birds.
Right, go ahead. You can't tell. You're leaning on actual birds, but obviously you're still a bit, like, unsure about that. It's too far away still for you to get a solid grasp, even with a really good early catch of the sound.
Okay.
Hmm.
After another 10 minutes or so, 20, 30, 40 minutes pass, you're approaching closer and closer to town, and Rogart seems to get even more tense. And as you reach this point, you once again hear those cries, and this time they're close enough that even without a solid check, Zephyr is able to perceive this cawing sound off in the distance.
Is it a familiar cawing?
You are not sure.
Zephyr, regardless of any objections, is going to take into the air. Just get, like, higher and higher.
Rogart
above the
looks at
caravan.
you, but doesn't object around now. You're unsure if it's because he trusts you more or if he doesn't want to call attention to anything.
Yeah, she's gonna lift high and go, like, a little bit ahead of the caravan and just scan the distance.
Right, roll me a perception check then.
I see.
You spot off in the distance, one or two shapes high in the air. From what you can gather, they're some kilometers off, but you can still see them barely. It's just like tiny little lines on the horizon. And at this point, it's about midday because you're traveling really slowly.
Yeah, she's gonna get herself like a little bit ahead of the caravan, but she's not gonna like race just yet. But she's going. She'd be a bit farther than she would normally go in a normal marching order.
Yep. So you're about like half a kilometer ahead of the rest of the party. At most. You continue to hear these shrill cries, but after just a moment, you get this strange feeling that the tone of the bird cries has shifted and have become more regular and agitated, so to say. And the shapes on the horizon that you see, these two lines, seem to shift apart from one another and go in disparate directions. They still seem to be like this, just about the same distance on the horizon, but they're separating from one another. And after another 5 minutes, they finally seem to come further into view as you see two obviously avian shapes approaching you, but now spread quite apart from one another. They're about, at this point, about a kilometer out. And you can see enough detail to notice that they are dark in color.
Oh boy. But so just avian though. I can't see like any obvious like appendages.
You don't have any
like,
good. You don't have any good details yet. No.
No. She's continuing on ahead.
You continue moving along further and further. Back at the caravan, at this point, the rest of the party is able to see these figures off in the distance, and Rogart sort of just like grips his pickaxe harder and harder. You almost see his knuckles turn white, Runt, as you look behind him, as he looks up at the sky, and he's just like grunts angrily. And the rest of the party, the rest of the survivors in the group, the rest of the caravan members seem to duck down and hide under what little cover of the edges of the cart exist.
Now hold on. Zephyr went to go investigate, and I trust Zephyr with my life.
He says nothing and continues to look off at them, but the cart continues to move. And as Zephyr, you approach further and further, I would like you to give me another perception check, DC 20.
Oof.
You see dark feathers and basic robes of a sort. But you don't see faces, you don't see beaks. Or at least you don't see them in detail. You can't figure things out.
She's gonna stop and just hover and see what they do, if they keep approaching or if they just stay where they are.
They continue to approach. Cawing, yet again, still agitated.
So how far behind me is the caravan now?
You are about half a kilometer out from them.
Gotta stand my ground.
Do I see Zephyr there at any point?
You can see Zephyr up ahead in the sky. Zephyr's closer to you than this thing off in the distance, and you know what Zephyr looks like, so you can see well enough to see this.
I am going to take preparatory caution. Too far out from it for message. Okay, never mind.
Runt, Chaise, make another perception check for me.
All right, let's see. See more. Ba-ba-ba. Great.
All right, so Runt rolled a 22, Chaise rolled a 17. Give me just a moment. Off in the grass, off to the northwest, up ahead, just off the road, you seem to notice a small rustling in the grass there. There are patches of taller grass here that can very easily obfuscate figures. You see some of it move, despite the fact that there's no breeze.
I will gingerly elbow Robert.
Rogert,
Yeah. And
keep in mind, Rogert is 2 carts ahead of you.
I thought I was on the same card as him.
Nope, you are 2 carts behind him. He is in the frontmost cart. You're in the second to last.
Okay, well, that's the reason why I have message. I do not have message. Fuck.
Not prepared?
No access to it.
All right.
I don't think I can even get it. No, I can't even learn it. That would be a nice skill to have, though. Can I? How far ahead is he from us? Like,
I mean, standard amount of distance that a few carts ahead. Like you could talk in like a very even voice, and he would probably be able to hear you. He was able to overhear your conversation with Ron, and
I
Ron
was
speaks
assuming I was
very,
riding on
very
the same
lightly.
cart with at the front.
Yeah. Nah, like imagine like the carts give about like 2 or 3 feet of bearing between one another from the front of the front animal to the back of the next cart in
What
front
is
of
the
them.
possibility of me fucking running up to the front, or just walking up to the front casually?
The carts are going slow enough that you could, honestly.
Yeah, I'll do that. I want to do that.
Like in this case, I'm just like establishing things, but due to how the details were presented, it seemed like we were overthinking. Yeah, you can just walk ahead. I already established the cart is going very slow. It's already midday.
Yeah, I'm gonna travel up to the front, pop a seat next to Robert.
He nearly swings at you and then stops himself short.
I'll without looking over at it, I'll look at him, see if he's looking at me, and then I'll look over to where I saw the grass.
He looks at your eyes and then follows your gaze. He seems to be like competent enough to know that this is not the time to yell at the strange creature. especially considering he already knows he's in dangerous territory, and looks up ahead and sees the moving grass, and they just like he pulls the leash on the cart of his own, and it comes to a stop, and the carts behind you proceed to slowly halt. And with that, he steps out of the cart, and as he does, it gives a small creak. Zephyr.
Yep.
These figures are coming closer and closer, and finally, when they are about more like 100 meters away, 150 meters away, you see that they have long beaks and strange cloaks, and their feathers are pure black.
Whew. I think we've misunderstood each other.
Their screeches get louder and louder, and you can finally hear them in such a way that you realize these aren't normal, like, bird calls. There seems to be some form of... You can't really place the term, language to this?
Huh, but nothing I'd recognize.
No, you have no idea what they are speaking. You know it's some bird language, but it is not yours.
Are they like looking like right at me? It seemed to be.
They are coming straight towards you.
Yeah, she's got to start doubling back a bit. Still, although she's gonna try her best to back up in the sky, though she's not gonna turn her back like openly fleeing though.
Roll an acrobatics for me. Actually, I want you to roll perception first to see if you notice this first.
I do not.
You do not, so roll an acrobatics for me.
18.
Let me get the necessary thing I need. You look up as a strange light comes down to your left, and you notice it just in time as an arrow whizzes past your face.
Oop. Can
And
I
with
see
that,
where?
there's a sudden eruption of noise and a larger cacophony of caws as what was once two figures on the horizon is now 10 avian creatures rising from the grass, surrounding you. All seem to be in the same sort of shape. Pure black feathers, long beaks, a glint in their eyes as they look at you, cawing that same foreign avian language. As you find yourself surrounded, at least on this side, by these foreign bird things.
Huh.
And with that, it may be a bit short, but I need to prepare this properly for you all. So we're actually going to end it there.
It ends
love
on I love it.
Haha, it's the cliffhanger ending.
It was funny. That whole time as we're getting as Zephyr's getting closer, they're getting closer to her. I'm thinking I have two separate like oh shit voices in my head. I have one who's like, shit, I need to think of some details, and then and then the other voice thinking like, what if they're like a different type of harpy or like a different clan, and then they're freaking what I think they are.
Yep. More will be discovered next time on the Monsters of Morgram as we rejoin the party, hopefully in Foundry.
Hopefully, yeah. I have to figure out how Foundry works, especially on my new PC.
Yeah, I'll give you a link to it and pull it up, but that's where we're going to pick up again next time, as you notice this group of, there are a total of 12 avian creatures now flying in obvious hostility towards you.
Oh.
So, converting Chaise to Foundry would be weird because everything.
It'd be weird, but we'll figure it out.
We need to hand transcribe everything for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
So,
We'll figure it out.
When you get it set up, let me know. When I'll probably do it on a day off, and I'll just sit there and do what I can.
Great.
But till then, till next session in hopefully 2 weeks' time, it would be on the 23rd. Actually, the day after our little horror movie marathon that Ken and I are doing on the 22nd. On my
True.
on the non-Unlucky Rolls Discord server, on my VTubing Discord server, if anybody's interested in
I
that.
could be there, but I work that night.
I gathered.
I
Sadly the
watch
case.
Some old slashers, though.
Yeah, I know. Oh
It's gonna
boy.
be nice.
Some of the
But-
best ones too.
I know. For those of you wondering, the majority of them are all the original movies that are from the IPs of various killers that exist in Dead by Daylight. So that's the
Okay.
reasoning for the selection as its
Friday
core.
13th, Halloween.
Nope, not Friday the 13th. Jason Voorhees isn't in Dead by Daylight. He has his own game.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Just Halloween.
Just Halloween.
Halloween, Saw, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Ring,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street, and the last one was
Scream.
that was a potential 7th, because technically this is completely unrelated to Tabletop Campaign at this point. I'm going to end up here and I'll talk about this. Thank you everyone for joining us. Hope you've had a lovely time.